Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video today, we are going to be talking about storage mistakes. These are those home organization mistakes that you might be making in your own home. Now, I'll be honest, I'm like not all that organized as a person. And now you might be thinking, why then would I watch a video for someone that doesn't know really what they're talking about, which you must be new here. In which case, I would just say that who better to listen to when it comes to advice than someone who fully admits that they're not very good at things, because I will be the lowest common denominator for you, you know? Like, you don't want to listen to someone who absolutely has their ish together, because then where are you going to be in terms of you're not able to meet that standard, right? So to me, I think sometimes the key to a successful life is having goals so low you can trip over them. Do you know what I mean? And so I think that following my advice is much better than following some of these organization queens on TikTok. So let's talk about storage solutions and what I think are some really easy ways that you can organize your life and have a better, beautiful, more organized home. So let's get going. Okay, but before we talk about storage solutions, we should talk about my new favorite kitchen countertop appliance. And let's be honest, I love a kitchen countertop appliance, as you guys know, and that is today's sponsor, which is Waterdrop. I wanted to make sure that I had a really great way to access safe and healthy water in my home, and that's what the Waterdrop A1 reverse osmosis hot and cold water dispenser does for me. I switched from coffee to tea last year, which was a whole thing, you guys, but I found that as a tea drinker, having instant hot water is just absolutely huge for me. But beyond the convenience, what really sets it apart is also its 6-stage deep filtration system and dual UV sterilization. It removes everything from chlorine to heavy metals and microparticles in your water, so things you'd never think of that are even in your tap. So knowing that I have purified water right at the tap of a button really brings me a lot of peace of mind, and the sleek minimal design blends perfectly into my design aesthetic, plus it's plug and play, so no complicated installations, a big win if you're not drilling into your backsplash or anything, or if you need a portable solution that you can take with you to your future home like I do. So if you're redesigning your kitchen or just looking for a smarter way to keep your family hydrated, I highly recommend checking out Waterdrop. So click the link in the description to learn more and grab yours. Your kitchen and your health will thank you. Now let's get back to some of those storage design mistakes. Okay, first on my list, which of course I touched on in my intro, which is organizing for the ideal you. Let's talk about those TikTok organization queens. You know what I mean? The people that have the beautifully labeled little thingies and they're like really organized. They got all the little storage solutions and they've got everything perfect. And they're just like, everything's labeled, and you see these like walk-in pantries and they're gorgeous, right? This is not real life. This is probably not for you. They might not even live this life. Do you know what I mean? Like, these people that are on there on social media, they might be lying to you. Shock of shocks, people on social media lie sometimes. I know this is new information, but breaking news, but I feel like it's important for you to know that some people like are really organized, and in which case that's a standard you're probably not gonna live up to, or they are lying and they don't even live up to these storage solutions either. So what I mean by that is when you're designing your storage solutions for your home, make sure that you're designing them for yourself and not for the ideal you that you think you are. So some quick wins would be like using things like clear bins so you can actually see your items, and potentially bins that maybe don't even have lids on them, right? Sometimes I had to accept for myself that I know a closed lid is really nice and useful, but depending on the circumstance, it isn't always practical, because I am so lazy that if I take the lid off, I'll oftentimes not really even put the lid back on, and it'll just sort of like fall off the side of the storage bin and, you know, now be sitting rolling around in the bottom of the cupboard, right? So identify those situations, like maybe in a bathroom vanity where you're not gonna have all your little stuff labeled and you're not gonna have all your little lids on, and be the person who you actually are, not the person that you want to be. So instead of having little cute little cratey items, they're color coded and they've all got little lids on them and little labels on them, maybe just have clear baskets so you can actually see what's in them instead of the aesthetically beautiful ones that you saw on Instagram. You know, use the tools, design the systems for the actual person that you are. So if you've got like lots of millwork, for example, in your laundry room, the items at the top are not the items that you should be using regularly, okay? You wanna make sure that those Tide Pods are accessible behind a closed storage solution perhaps, but you're able to get them on the regular, and they're not necessarily jammed up in the top so that you need a step stool in order to get them every time, or your family needs a step stool to get them every time. Because then don't be mad at people not using the tools and the storage solutions that you've designed if they're not intuitive for people to actually use use regularly. Make sure everything is accessible, make sure things are where they're practically going to be, not necessarily for what is maybe optimal from an organization perspective, but one that feels practical that you're going to use. It's like going to the gym. It's like, okay, you might think that you can have like, I'm gonna go and start CrossFit, and then you do like, yeah, okay, but then you're in CrossFit for like 3 weeks and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna do that, that's too intense. Just get to the gym and do a workout that you're actually gonna enjoy, that you're actually gonna do. You know what I mean? Same with storage solutions. Go with the systems that you're actually gonna use regularly, not the ones that you see on social media that you think you're going to use or your family is going to use. Okay, next up on my list for storage solutions, for storing those everyday items, I'm gonna have to say is utilizing drop zones in your home. So I just mentioned them, but I think it's really, really important to have those places in your home that you're going to actually put stuff regularly. Do you know, like, so again, those keys, the mail, the clutter, all that stuff, have a little clear basket or something that you can use to contain some of those items and store them in a closed store area near where you're actually going to need them. So near the front door rather than an office or a bedroom or something else, right? Shoes and shoe accessories. So, you know, all those items that you might have for shoes, say like a shoe horn, or maybe all your gloves or your scarves or all those little outdoorsy things that you might need on the regular, the umbrellas, whatever. Keep all that stuff in a contained solution near the front door rather than necessarily hidden. It's kind of like, you know, in television where everybody puts all their shoes and they put them all on in their bedroom and you're like, but is that really where people are doing their shoes? I don't know. Some people wear their shoes inside the home. That's not a very Canadian thing. We like to take our shoes off inside the home because I think outside shoes are gross and shouldn't be around the rest of your home. But some people, like on TV, they're always putting their shoes on in the bedroom and you're like, but is that really practically where you're putting your shoes on all the time? I get that it's really cute for putting on an outfit, but it's not necessarily practical for how people are actually using their shoes. So store your shoes, design a storage solution so that your shoes are near the front door where you're probably gonna be putting them on and taking them off, rather than in your bedroom, just so you can, like, again, you think you're gonna do cute little get ready with me's like they do on social media, and it makes more sense in your bedroom, but it's not, you know, it's practical on television or on social media, but it doesn't actually make sense in real life. It's like how friends lied to me and I thought friends were gonna come over before work for like donuts and brunch before we all headed off to work. And then I realized in real life, no one comes over to your house before like 8 a.m. It just doesn't happen, right? So I feel like social media and television lied to me. They thought I would have company over at 8 a.m. and I would be able to hang out with my friends first thing in the morning before work. That is not the truth. That didn't happen. Just like having shoes in your bedroom with all of your organization systems all over there, it doesn't actually make sense practically. Keep those solutions near the front door because that's honestly where you're going to be using them. Okay, next storage mistake that I'm going to have to talk about is going to be not storing things under your bed. So this is one that I see a lot of people do because, again, aesthetically it looks really beautiful. We all love to see a bed and then there's like nothing in it. And I'm going to get into like a whole like, okay, so this is like counter to like a feng shui situation, okay? So I know that feng shui, they always talk about the energy moving around the bed, and I totally like understand that that is something that people, did you guys see on TikTok, there was like some drama with feng shui? I'm like never involved in YouTube, Instagram, TikTok drama. Kind of wish that I was sometimes, but maybe it's because I don't read my mentions. Maybe people are talking about me and I don't know because I don't actually really pay attention. But anyway, these people got into a whole big thing about like feng shui and whether the, you know, is it for everybody or is it just certain people ascribe to this belief system? Listen, I don't know and I don't want to get into it, but I would say this. As a storage solution, I'm sorry, but I'm utilizing that space under the bed, and I think you probably should too. Feng shui people are gonna come after me, and I totally hear that. I get it. But I just think that that's a lot of real estate that is under your bed. Now, if you live in a 4,000 square foot home and you live in like a giant house in the suburbs and you've got like 4 guest bedrooms or something, you probably don't need to have storage under your bed. You've got plenty of storage, you know what I mean? Like just get some beautiful millwork in there and you're probably good to go. But if you live in like sub 1,500 square feet, which like I don't think I've ever lived in a place more than 1,100, maybe 1,000 square feet below, like that's kind of my limit. I would say that, yeah, I'm using the bed. Like I'm using under the bed. I'm either doing under, you know, things from Amazon or IKEA that you can just shove under the bed there and you can just pull out. Those are really great. Some bed solutions have rollies that you can actually like roll out and they're like dedicated cupboard systems. Article's got a really great one that you can actually just pull out and pull back in, which is really great. The one that I have is from Sunday's Furniture. I really love it. It's the cloud bed, and you can actually, it's got a little strap at the bottom and you can just lift it up and then you got a ton of storage under there. I think that these bed solutions are amazing for storage. They're just really, really awesome at being able to just shove a bunch of crap under there, especially like Christmas decorations, winter clothes, summer clothes, depending on the season. Just so much easier. Extra sheet sets, right, that you just want to shove under there. So much easier. And if you've got multiple beds, like if you've got, you know, guest rooms and kids rooms and whatever, if everybody is using these under sort of bed storage solutions, I think it just adds so much room to be able to shove a bunch of crap under there. These super aesthetic, gorgeous bedrooms that you see on social media where yes, there's like air circulating underneath. I get it. I understand it, I just don't think that that's practical for most people. And I think it's just an underutilized storage solution for most people. Okay, and then next up, I'm gonna have to say is storing things inside furniture. So what do I mean by that? I mean choosing furniture solutions that actually have storage built in. So coffee table, for example, right? I've mentioned this one from Rove Concepts. I really like this one. I think it's a really great one. It didn't quite make sense for the sizing of my room, so I didn't choose it for my current place, but I really love this one because you can just slide it on and there's a bunch of room to be able to throw stuff in there. Great opportunity for accessible, because again, C.1, designed for the person you are, but not for the person you want to be. You can like shove all your remotes and all your gaming controllers and all your cords and whatever you've got in there, spare Bath & Body Works candles, I don't know what you got, you know what I mean? You can throw all that stuff in there and then you can just slide it closed and no one ever has to see it. I love that. Things like the cozy couch, or there's other couches out there where you can actually just like lift up the seat and there's actually storage right built in. I love those. Benches are really a great way. So maybe you've got like or little ottomans that you can have in your home. They double as extra seating, which is wonderful, but you can also lift it and then you can shove a bunch of crap in there, which is also awesome. Again, benches, right? Use it for extra seating, use it maybe as a drop zone, C.2, around like, you know, maybe a little tray on there sometimes so that you can throw extra stuff on there, but then you can also lift it up and you've got stuff in there. For Eden's room that we designed for her back in the fall, we did a really cute one, right, for her front bench. Doubles as a place to sit to put your shoes on, which is great because that's practically where you're putting your shoes, like we said. You got a little drop zone area for little keys and stuff like that, which is great. It also, you open it up, a little space there for some shoes and umbrellas and things. Overall, ticking all the boxes, a wonderful way for you to get extra storage while also utilizing your existing furniture pieces. Okay, next on my list is gonna be not utilizing vertical space. So oftentimes when we're talking storage, we're talking about ground level, right? Which is important to keep things accessible, obviously, as I mentioned, but I think we've got to be really careful because there is space up in the sky, up on your walls that you can absolutely use that people don't consider. So having built-ins that go to the ceiling, that can make a huge difference in getting you that extra storage, especially even though it's inaccessible and it's not that easy to get to. We still need to store a lot of items that we don't use regularly. So we've talked about the Christmas decorations, but what about that? Like I have a soup pot, you guys, that I legitimately only use once a year. I'm not saying I'm proud that I own one of these things because I typically love a specialized kitchen appliance and tool, but this particular pot is so ginormous that it basically is used for me to make turkey stock after Christmas or Thanksgiving. So I use it like maybe twice a year. So I'm not saying it's a practical thing that I should own, but I have it and I own it. So I need to store it. And so you know what? Those hard to reach places in like the kitchen, if you have your kitchen cupboards right to the ceiling, that little spot up there, it's not accessible. You shouldn't be putting your mugs there, obviously. Okay, use your own common sense here, but it's a great spot for that stupid pot that I have, right? So finding some of these spaces where you can extend your millwork up that little bit right to the ceiling makes a huge difference to add a whole ton of storage in places like the kitchen. But even in living room or dining room areas, so often people forget that you can absolutely mount a unit above onto, above a television, for example, or above a sofa or a side chair or in a corner of a room. I used to live in 500 square feet and I had one of those IKEA Besto cabinets, and that was really great. We mounted it on the wall and really accessible to be able to get to, and it sort of gave us a little bit of extra storage. And again, if you're living in 500 square feet, every bit of storage counts, and putting that up in high up on a wall made it so much easier to be able to store extra items that otherwise would have been utilized for absolutely nothing. So if you have a little spot in your house that you're thinking like, do I want a piece of art there? Consider putting in some sort of bookshelf unit or some sort of built-in, or even something that is a little bit higher that's wall mounted, can do a really great job of giving you extra bonus storage. It feels like a bonus because it feels like, you're not taking up any more square footage. So think high, not necessarily always wide. Okay, next up on my list is going to be utilizing too much is important, open storage and shelving. I may have mentioned once or twice on the channel. I don't know if you're new here, you're probably like, what? This guy's never mentioned this before. If you're familiar, I've mentioned it 755 times, I think, last time I checked. Open storage. Here's my stance on it if you haven't heard this before and you're new here. I think that it is great for showing off and displaying some beautiful items, but it's not necessarily really great as a storage solution. Because it's open, it is on display, which means the items that you're putting on the shelf are really great for displaying things. Cute cookbooks, maybe a nice little candle, maybe you've got a little vase that you've got, maybe you've got some essential oils you want to display, maybe you've got like, I don't know, whatever, like a cute little lamp. Like that's it's more decor, let's be honest. What have I got back there? All this crap, right? I mean, this stuff, it's decor, okay? And so when you're doing that on an open shelf, that's what it is. It's a way to display your decor, which is really beautiful. If you are using it strictly always as a storage solution, it will oftentimes, because again, be the person you are, not the person you want to be a little bit cluttered. And that you want to be really careful of. Books, I would say, are a great thing. I think sometimes like people go a little crazy on the books, but you know, that's up to you. Books are really beautiful because they can be storage while they also can be gorgeous, but also try to be a little bit objective about what is actually storing beautiful items that you want to display and what is storing ugly items that you don't want to display, but you still practically need. And I would say that closed storage solutions do a really great job of hiding that ugly crap that you know you need that you don't necessarily want to show off to the world. So having too much open shelving or relying on open shelving as a storage solution, in my opinion, is a recipe for a cluttered mess. Yes, you will find a place to store your items, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to make sense for you long term. So I would just be really careful when designing your space to make sure that you have maybe some open shelving, but you recognize that it's good for what it is, which is displaying beautiful items, but you have plenty of closed storage to be able to actually store stuff that you really need that you don't want to display. Okay, so next on my list is going to be utilizing the back of doors. So this can be closet doors, this can be bedroom doors, office doors, this can be doors in your front hall closet, whatever. Great opportunity for doing something like a pegboard system, utilizing some sort of little storage system that sort of clips on the side there, and you can like little pockets that you can throw stuff on there. I think that is such a great tool to be able to hide a lot of those pieces that you don't necessarily want behind those doors, which is a wonderful thing, like I said, but also store some of those little tiny stupid items that you don't necessarily know what to do with otherwise. So yes, baskets are really wonderful. Love baskets, big fan. Clear plastic bins, like I've mentioned, but this is sort of an underutilized storage solution I think that people oftentimes forget about. There's so many cute ones that are out there that you can just store on the back of a door, and you know, little pockets and shelving and things that you're able to put extra stuff on there. And even if it is an open storage-ish sort of solution, I think it really works in these circumstances because it's hidden behind a door, because it's on the back of a door. So it makes sense. You open up your cupboard door, boom, you've got great solutions that make sense there. So maybe, for example, in your kitchen, you've got pot lids and you're, you know, finding a solution there, putting on the back of a door front makes a lot of sense. So inside a cupboard door, you can just hide it in there. No one will ever know. Lots of different ways that you can hide things. If you actually think of all the cupboard doors that you have and bifold doors that you have and doors into rooms, like interior doors that you have, lots of really doors that you're using, different cupboards and stuff that you can absolutely utilize with lots of different ways by utilizing the storage on the back there. So definitely a great place to store extra stuff with a little bit of a built-in, you know, hidden feature there that I think makes a lot of sense. Okay, so that's it for me for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you're interested, you can go check out an entire video that I did on home organization. So in the same way that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to storage solutions, but I try my best, feel free to check out what I think of organization as well, and you can go check that one out. I will see you all in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.